Good evening, Mr. Robert Sidell. I'm going to do something here. A great pleasure to be with you here on this Sunday evening, in this pretty day in April, the last day of April, 2023. And it's really a pleasure and an honor to be here with you tonight. And we are also simulcasting. We're in the number one talk station, broadcasting over Las Vegas. We're also simulcasting on Facebook right now. And I am also posting these on YouTube. So that's a new thing that I'm finally doing now. So just type in the word Gateway and Sidell and podcast. Type in those three words and it should be able to pull it up. If you have a problem, let me know. But that should be sufficient to bring it up. Anyway, it's a great pleasure to be with you here tonight. Let me do something here. I'm going to put on a little bit of music in the background. Hold on. And if it's too loud, just let me know. I'll turn it down a little bit, actually. So I just want you to know you good? If it's too, you can let me know if it's good enough. And it's good right now? Okay, good. So my friends, every day, I'm always thinking every week, what can make the biggest difference in your life, in my life, and where we're headed? What can make the biggest difference? And to me, I have a simple approach. It's a theme that I come back to a lot because I think it's really the most effective thing. Before I say what it is, I'm going to say this to you. In law school, I did very well. At the end of my second semester, I was number one in my class out of more than 200 students. And I ended up graduating, hello Debbie, with honors from one of the top law schools in the United States, UC Berkeley. So why did I do well? There was a lot of different reasons, but one reason why is that I learned how to simplify things. Take a complicated subject and make it simple. So I'm trying to do the same thing spiritually. I have been studying this on the spiritual journey, you might even say obsessively, for most of my life. And with maybe a slight break from maybe 12 to 18 years old. Beyond that, though, I've been pretty obsessively on the journey of growing, learning, praying, studying, seeking direct consciousness from God. Whatever that's all involved. Hello, Debbie. It's nice to see you. I've been doing that. And so what I've come to believe in my observations of people, my own life, people I interact with as an attorney. As an attorney, I did over 1,000 divorces, 1,000 bankruptcies. That was just one part of my career. Now I do injuries and accidents exclusively, but I do everything from serious death cases, serious motorcycle accidents, all sorts of things. And I'm counseling people all the time. And here's what I want to say to you, is that in the human condition, what we all are really looking for, we all think it's going to be, if we just rearrange the material things in our lives, that we're going to have everything we want. And listen, I'm all for having an abundance in your life. I really am. But if you don't mix it with joy and inner love, it's not going to bring you happiness. And if you don't think that's true for a moment, just think of all the well-known celebrities, that go through one relationship after another and end up having all kinds of problems. Even though they've had a lot of money, they haven't had the centeredness in love and infinite joy. So tonight, what I want to dedicate the show to is how you and I can learn to access and connect to what I call an ocean of love, infinite love, that can begin to pour through your life and transform the quality of your life. In my own personal feeling, on this earth, what's most missing for most people, that makes the life more difficult, is inner love. If we can find inner love, then we can bring that love to our relationships. You can bring it to your marriage if you're married. You can bring it to your work. You can bring it to all sorts of situations if you find it. But you have to first find it. And you have to seek it. You have to seek that love. You have to first, if you didn't know something's there, how would you even look for it? But there's an infinite love waiting for each of us. And as our hearts are open to this infinite love, then magic starts to emerge. Pure magic. So that's what I'd like you to open yourself to tonight. The idea that you could walk in a magical, love-filled life. And for each of us, that you might say, is it going to be that way all the time? I think you can increase the ratio constantly. Does it mean it's always going to feel that way? No, there could be adversities and setbacks, and you may need to recover, do some meditation, do some prayer, do some restoration and rejuvenation. But the bottom line is there is this field of infinite love. One of the best ways I've heard it described is this. Suppose you were we had kind of a long winter here. I think we're finally moving out of it now, and I'm actually enjoying the new weather, as I know many of you are. But let's suppose that you were in one of those cold, wintry days where it was so icy outside. If you're in a warm, cozy house, then you're looking out at that cold weather isn't so bad. And the same thing can happen in your life as you walk through this earth if you bring the ocean of love in your own heart and you awaken to it. Then what happens is you're in the same world, but you can share this love with people, and this love can be shared with you. And pretty soon, in the least expected places, you can share love and receive love. And it's almost in every relationship you can do that. Almost in every relationship you can do that. One of the things I try to do when I go to Costco, I always talk to different, the people who serve those little samples, their taste, trying to get you to buy certain products. And then the bottom line is, I talk to these people. A lot of times I'll give them one of my miracle cards. And what ends up happening is that it just suddenly opens up a doorway of possibility. You don't need to have a miracle card to do that. It's just me connecting to these people heart to heart, soul to soul. And suddenly, you're receiving love and you're giving love. And so that's what can start to happen. In my legal business, when I'm talking to adjusters, I almost always try to find out a little bit about their life. Are they married? Are they single? Do they have children? Where do they live? And before we're finished, it's the beginning of a real human relationship in which love is the foundation. You don't have to say the words love, but the feeling is love, and the feeling is joy, and the feeling is freedom. And the same thing with my clients. I find it very, very rewarding to find a feeling of inner love and joy and friendship with my clients. And when people come by, they almost always want to give me a hug, and I always want to give them a hug, because we've shared a little moment of time on our life journey. And so what I'm saying is that there's a way to bring love into your life in almost every part of your life. And as we pierce that bubble that surrounds ourselves, as we pierce the bubble that we often live in a bubble of isolation, really. And what we don't realize is that if we reach out of that bubble, there's another human being over there that wants to get out of their bubble too. And they want to know love also. And if you can share love with them, then they'll share love with you. The next thing you know, a friendship develops. It's funny. Again, talking about Costco for an example. When children are little, they're much more open to that instant experience of love. So sometimes they'll say hi to parents, and they'll say they're with a little kid, and I'll say, "Is that your kid? You proud of them?" Of course, they usually say yes. But what's fun then afterwards, then is what I'll do is I'll just wave to the little kid, like, "Hey, how you doing?" The little kid is always going to wave back, almost always, unless they're very shy. But 9 out of 10 times they're going to wave back because they're receiving love and kindness directly to them, and guess what? They give it right back. And guess what? I'll tell you something. This would shock most people. If people haven't become too programmed and too afraid, you can do the same thing with people as adults too. Just be friendly. How are you doing? Hey, you look great. You looks good. And you'd be surprised how many people just warm right up to that, because people don't really want to live in a bubble of isolation. They really, really don't want to. They want to feel love. They want to feel connection. And that connection is what begins to free us in this life. So right now, so you and I are we're actually experiencing a relationship of love, really, vibrational love, for those of you that are listening, or people listening later to the recordings on the podcast, on YouTube, The Gateway Show, Robert Sidell. Just type that in. You can watch it and share it with your friends too. I'll post it on Facebook also. But my point is this, my friends. Here's what I want to tell you. You can have the greatest set of possessions. You can get exactly what you thought you wanted. But if you don't have love in your heart, it's going to be meaningless. You're still going to be empty inside. On the other hand, if you bring love into your heart and let that love begin to grow in your soul, then it becomes a buffer. It becomes a medium of connection with the people around you. It's like you're traveling on a cloud of love, which sounds kind of funny or strange perhaps, but you can actually really do that. to the point where it makes your life much more magical, much more magical. And when we open ourselves to that divine love, and that's one of the key elements, is know that love comes from God. When you open your heart to God's infinite love, it's like stepping into a paradise, really, in your own heart and soul. And when you're in that love of paradise, all of a sudden this life around you, everything is beautiful. I was talking to my sister this morning, and we were talking about it. When you pray and meditate, you know what? She was saying after she does that, she says that suddenly everything looks more beautiful, more magnificent. And I had just the same experience with my daughter. She made some tea, and we got to share a cup of tea together. And she's kind of into fine teas right now. She found some store in Chinatown that sells these nice teas. So it's kind of fun for her. So we sat down and just shared a couple cups of tea. And just looking at the light coming down from 93 million miles away, that's what they say it is from the sun, and seeing it shine through the window into the tea and into the cup. And we cut some flowers from our garden. And you know what? It's pure magnificence. And that's what I'm talking about, my friends. You could get high on life itself. You can get high on life itself by filling your heart with infinite love. And I'll put it another way to you. Until you find that infinite love in your heart and soul, then nothing will really satisfy. I ask you, and only you know the answer. What percentage of people are really deeply happy? How many people find deep satisfaction on a daily level? I give you, and we all have issues that we have to deal with sometimes, don't get me wrong, whether it's health issues, anything. But here's I want to ask you something. So, if it's a scale of 1 to 10, and happiness, 1 being very unhappy, and 10 being absolutely happy. And there's no right and wrong in this, by the way, it's purely subjective. Where are you on that scale? Hey, Ernie, in your own heart and mind. And, there's been lots of times I've been very high on that scale, and there's been sometimes I hit some real difficult parts of my life that if you could go below 1, that's probably where I was for a while. So I just want you to know, I've been in both ends of that scale. But if you begin to put this love in your heart, then you could begin to find yourself floating in a state between 9 and 10 in happiness a lot of the time. A lot of the time. And maybe the vast majority of the time. And that's what this show is really about. In fact, we're going to have to go to a break, but it's by opening ourselves to that infinite love. Infinite love. We're going to go to a break, my friends listening to the radio show. I'll be back in just a moment. And for those on Facebook, stick with me. This is Robert Sidell. So my friends, this infinite love, as I'm talking to you, I'm feeling the love in my heart. It's a wondrous, magical experience. Oh, okay. My friend Sharon, it's Sharon's birthday today. I'm sending her love right now. Sending her love, unconditional healing and love. Let me tell you, my friends, when we can find this love in our hearts, when we can open our heart to it, and a lot of it is shared with one another. So it isn't just finding it within yourself, it's learning to share it with other people. When we're on the radio here, or on the internet, we are actually, at least I am feeling a living spirit of love. And each of you are consciously or unconsciously sharing that with me and with everyone else listening. And it suddenly dawned on me in the last few days that there's actually a lot more happiness around than what we often think. I was at a festival about a week ago. Or actually 2 weeks ago. It's called the Celtic Festival. It's over at, actually I can't even remember the name of the park. One of the parks here in town. And it's where they also have the Pirate Festival. But I was looking around at the people, and I was there for a while, and suddenly I realized these people are happy. They're having fun. There's a sense of joy just permeating the whole environment. And I suddenly realized, you know what? We can create that experience for our whole city. Really the whole world, but let's start here. But we can open our hearts to infinite love right now and let it bathe our city. Wouldn't it be wonderful? Actually, I'm going to rephrase that. Won't it be wonderful to see people coming here and finding great happiness. Many of you have heard me talk about this before, but I see this as a city of light, of divine light. It can be seen in many different ways. We know about the traditional approach of gambling and all that. I mean, that's all there, and entertainment, and that's all fun, it has its place. But I also want you to open yourself to the idea that let's open ourselves that with God's grace, we can bring a grace of love to our city and our state. But let's talk about our city right now. It is so great that when people come here, they feel an inexplicable happiness. Doesn't that sound kind of like fun? Inexplicable happiness. How would you like to help co-create that possibility? How many of you are up to that possibility that you could be an instrumentality of divine love that could begin to produce a transformation? See, what's dawned on me in my life is that a large percentage of people, their unhappiness comes from a feeling of separation, aloneness, and loneliness. But if people are embraced with love, we're about to go back on the radio. Here we go, back on the radio. Good evening, this is Robert Sidell. It's a great pleasure to be with you here on this Sunday night. Basking in love on the Gateway Show. That's what it's really like for me. I could tell you lots of different things, but I really feel great love, great peace, great joy. And I often sleep very well after this show. It's divine grace. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'll probably say it many more times. This world can be a heaven if we learn to unlock our heart and share our hearts with other people. You, each one of you listening, and everybody out there, we have the ability to open our hearts and share love with people. But what happens too much of the time is we're walking around with our hearts kind of closed off, walled off, and we're not really sharing love particularly, or maybe we are with a couple people and that's about it. But there's an infinite love, divine love, that Jesus talked about as the love that passes all understanding. And even other traditions, people have talked about it. We open our hearts to this infinite love that transcends all things, then you know what? We can begin to open our hearts and make things happen in such a magical, wonderful way that we can't even imagine it. And that's my invitation to each of you. So you start to see the miracles in little things and big things. Let me tell you something that happened to me yesterday. And it's a reminder to me that we live in a divine and infinitely perfect world. Yesterday morning, I was trying to get something fixed on my computer, which was an Apple product, and I couldn't get it fixed. I spent about half hour on the phone with the service technician, who did a nice job, by the way, but we couldn't get it fixed. So she set me up for an appointment down at the Genius Bar at the Apple Store. So I went down there and went into the store and had a hard time finding parking because it just happened to be that kind of day. But I got there for my appointment, spent about a half hour with the guy. The funny part of it is, it turned out there was really nothing wrong with the device. It required some reprogramming, let's put it that way. But even he didn't know what the reprogramming was. It just somehow worked itself out. Somehow it got fixed. First I bought a replacement part, and then suddenly we realized I don't even need a replacement part. So it didn't cost me anything, and it was totally fixed. But here's what I want to say to you. So then there was a farmer's market right nearby. So I decided, well, I'll go up there, see what's going on in the farmer's market. So I was standing there in the farmer's market sampling a few products, and so then I got a call from my daughter. And she says, Dad, I'm looking at some dresses. I wanted to go on FaceTime so you can tell me which one you like the best. I said, well, where are you anyway? And because I thought you had been at home when I left. She goes, well, I'm at this store. I said, well, I'm at the farmer's market. She goes, well, that's right down there where I am. Well, it turned out that literally she was 20 feet away from where I was. 20 feet away in a store from where I was standing when she called me. And I thought to myself, and so I went in the store and we had the most fun. She tried on several dresses, and she was in a good mood. I was in a good mood. And so I bought her a dress, and it was a very magical little moment, father-daughter experience. She got a dress she really liked, in a real happy mood. And I got to be with her in that happy moment of time and get her that gift. And I couldn't plan any of that. I didn't know she was even going down there shopping. And I didn't know how this thing was going to work out. When I started out in the morning, they couldn't fix it over the phone. Because they didn't fix it on the phone, I went to the store. It took them longer than expected at the store. So I showed up at the exact moment that she needed assistance, 20 feet from where she was. Now, I think that life has that potential, a divine order. I really, really do. I've seen it so many times in my life. And that's what I'd like to suggest to you. We live in a divine kingdom, an infinite and divine kingdom. So when I talk, and these are the things that Jesus talked about a lot. Yeah, Dinah, you're right. Miracles happen all the time. Dinah's saying miracles do happen. They really happen all the time. You know, Albert Einstein said something once. He said, you can look at life as being absolutely miraculous or not miraculous at all. It's just a choice. I choose to see it, and with different people I've studied with, as all miraculous. And there's no beginning or end to the miraculous space. It's there everywhere all the time, at every moment. But we're on a divine journey too. So what we call miracles, sometimes, I had a long talk with my daughter about this today. Sometimes even rejection or a no is part of God's plan. And since a lot of you who are listening are a little bit older, you've had some no's in your life, but you've also seen those no's turn into something good. And so it isn't just that life is miraculous. It means that you just can always get what you want all the time. That's not really what it is. It is that it is inherently miraculous and has the ability to supply you with what you need. Hey, Janet, how you doing? When you need it. I'm going to tell you another miraculous thing that happened in my life. There's just a health condition I've been dealing with, and it's something that I haven't got any answers from any doctors. Well, about 2 months ago, I got a call. Actually, about 6 weeks ago, I got a call from a guy, and he wanted to sue a doctor. We're not going to sue a doctor. This turned out not to be at all appropriate for that, but that was his first. That's why he called me. So he proceeded to just talk about the problem, the health issue, and it turns out it's very similar to something I've been dealing with. And so what it comes down to is he was mad at a doctor because there was some sort of a solution out there that doctor obviously didn't know about. And so he had to live with this problem for a couple of years. So all of a sudden I was given an answer. I started doing research on it, and sure enough, there is an answer to this thing. And then I asked for a referral to a different kind of doctor. And the first thing that doctor told me about is the same exact solution this guy had found. So within the space of about 2 months or 6 weeks, I was given, because it took time to get an appointment scheduled, I was given both an answer from somebody that I never even knew existed, and then most doctors I dealt with and never heard of, and I was sitting with a doctor who knew all about it, and a solution was given to me. So that's how miracles work. That's how miracles work. And none of us knows the timing of the miracles of life. Not a single person alive knows the timing. But we have to have the patience and the peace. But never doubt that God can supply you with answers, even for what seem like impossible solutions. I have a friend that's suffering, a very good friend that's suffering from Parkinson's. And it's obviously hard for him. And that's, the doctors will tell you that's irreversible. It's uncurable. And I get that. I'm not making them wrong for that. But I'm still open-minded, and I've talked to him about this many times, that there is an answer for that. And that's how I work on healing and curing things in my own soul. I start with the assumption. In some traditions, it's called building a mental equivalent. You build in your mind a structure that says, hey, yeah, there is an answer. I know there's an answer. There's a way. And what happens, your mind starts working on it. And the next thing you know, that answer often starts to show up in your life. And sometimes the least expected way, like somebody calling me, wanting to sue somebody. As I said, that was a non-issue for him to do that. But in the process, I found out a ton of information about things I never even heard about before. That's because I had a mental equivalent in my mind for an answer. And the answer showed up in my life. So I keep doing that in a lot of areas of my life. And so you want to be happy in this life? Step number 1, open your heart to the infinite love of God and let it dare to know, build a mental equivalent in you that there's a kind of love that can enter your heart and soul, that can bring you so much happiness, that can change your life forever. Forever. It can take a life that seems ordinary and turn it to extraordinary. It can take the mundane and make it magical. And it takes a simple thing. I mean, I'll give you an example, a very simple example. You could be walking along and see a puddle of water and see the light reflecting off that puddle. And it could trigger ecstatic joy of the nature of creation. Just like that. Flip you into the appreciation for the magic of existence. You know that in this world, nobody really knows how this world came into existence. And yes, we have the Bible and different books that can tell us, but beyond that though, we don't understand how this came into being. And none of us understand how God came into being. Nobody can intellectualize that question or answer that, I don't think anyway. But the point is, there is an infinite joy, and that I can speak to because it's been showed to me, it's been shared with me. And that's really all I'm doing is sharing with you the infinite love that's been shared with me. That's all. That's why I do this show. I want to share that love. I have a vision and a dream, and my vision and a dream is very simple. If we can share this love broadly enough, this world will become vastly happier and better experience. I can also tell you that no matter what you have in life, if you don't have that love, it will not be satisfying. That's why people can go into relationships and have the perfect person, whatever that might be, and then within a year or two they're getting divorced because they haven't found the love in their heart. They're going to the relationship to find the love instead of finding the love in their own heart and the relationship to God and sharing it with the relationship. So two different ways of doing things. So if you're listening tonight, I would just like to share this infinite love with you, and I receive whatever love you wish to share as well, because that's the opportunity we have on this earth. And that's my dream. That's really my ultimate life purpose. Aside from being a family man and an attorney, my life purpose is to share divine love. And this the vision was given to me about sharing that many years ago, more than 40 years ago, about 45 years ago. And ever since then, I've been working on growing and sharing this love in the best way I know how. And so that's my intention in this show, to share and let you know there's a divine love waiting and knocking at your soul, the door of your soul, waiting for you to say yes, to come into your heart and let that love begin to embrace your life and give you a sense of assurance and inner security and peace. So this is Robert Sidell, and this is the Gateway Show. And we'll be back in just a moment. Those of you on Facebook, stay tuned with me. I'll be back with you. I'll stay with you right now. So my friends, this love can transform everything in your life, and you can find that you can share it wherever you go. Here I am an attorney. A lot of people would say attorney is being a conflicted basis. Hey Linda, nice to have you here. A lot of people would say being an attorney has to be conflict and unpleasant and bad and all that. But you know what? If you bring love into your heart, you can bring it in as an attorney too. Does that mean it's always smooth and simple? No. There's sometimes it's frustrating. Sometimes it's anxiety, creates anxiety for me because I'm dealing with the unknown a lot. How is this going to turn out? How are we going to resolve this problem? I resolved something on Friday afternoon. Got it filed Friday that I needed to get done that day as a deadline, and I didn't know how it was going to turn out until about noon on Friday. So I had to come to some inner peace that it would be okay. But my point, and it was. So I have a lot of that kind of thing. But I can bring love into my heart. And I begin to have a genuine, deep love and respect for my clients. I have a broad section of clients that are very different ethnic and religious, and I've got Muslims, I've got Christians, I've got Jews, I've got Buddhists, I have New Age, I have Old Age, I have Jewish people. Pretty much every tradition you can think of walks through my door. People that are atheists, that don't believe in God at all. It's all okay. Because what I see as my opportunity is to, and this is a strange thing to say, but it's actually true. Honest to God truth. If you bring enough love into the story, guess what happens? Somebody's had an accident, and next thing you know, we're having a good time together as people. And it's like, it doesn't seem possible, really. How's that possible? It depends what it is. If somebody's really, really, badly, I've been dealing with some motorcycle accidents lately where a couple of people have been in bad accidents. The people are as nice as can be, but dealing with some bad injuries is a tough story. But at least we can try to bring some love and perspective on it all to people. So those of you that are listening right now, I just want you to know, I want to thank you for the love you share. And what is this love really? Whoops, something just happened here. The computer, I don't know what happened. I don't even know what happened there. That's strange. Something just happened. That's not supposed to happen. Oh, there it is. Okay, got it back in. I don't know what happened. So, my friends, I would just invite you to share with me in this experience of infinite love and dare to believe and know that we can release that love all around us. That we can begin to find that love in everything we do. It can be in the large parts of our lives and the very small parts of our lives. My friend Linda's listening right now, and she goes over to Liberia every now and then and works with a church over there in Liberia, Africa. And believe me, she faces adversities there that most of us could never dream of, but somehow she brings the love of God in her heart and finds it to be a joyous place to be. I've interviewed her on this show before. I probably should do it again, Linda. And somehow the love of God for her becomes her food, really. I mean, that's probably a funny way to put it, but is that true, Linda? It becomes your food, your spiritual food. And that's what I want to say to you, my friends. We live in a very political time in the world. And a lot of times people are kind of hostile and angry about politics. And I'm not exempt from those emotions or feelings either, but there's a love beyond all of that. And that's the love I'm dedicating my life to. Let's see something here. Hold on 1 second here. Turn that off just for 1 second. That's the love I'm devoting my life to. The love that can... Oh, we're about to go back on the radio again. Good evening, this is Robert Sidell. A great pleasure to be with you here tonight. I'm feeling wonderful love and grace and freedom. I will say, Linda says very true. Yeah, it is true, isn't it, Linda? Linda goes to a place where they really don't have any idea where they're going to get their meals before the end of the day. There's no electrical system in the country, at least where she is. There's no sewer system. There's no water system. There's no transportation system. They have primitive dirt roads. And yet somehow in the midst of it all, I've talked to Linda about this a lot of times, they're very happy and they find a lot of joy. And it's not a superficial, it's not a pretend happiness, it's real happiness. I'm sure they aren't always happy if they're facing a real severe adversity at some moment, but on an average, from what Linda tells me, and the people I've met personally, they are happy. And their happiness comes from their relationship to God. And what I want to say to you is, we've been fortunate, you and I, to live in a country where we're very, very wealthy. And yet the irony of it is, as a nation, even people that are fairly poor here, and to the extent that they have different kinds of welfare and food and things like that, they don't have that in Africa. So where she goes in Africa. And so we have what other people don't have, but somehow we a lot of times haven't found that joy. This is what Linda's saying. Everything in life is broke, but they celebrate life. I think when you're saying broke, you mean like broken, right? Just doesn't work. I think that's what she's meaning. Probably both ways. They're pretty broke financially too, most of them. But somehow they're finding joy anyway. So we are very blessed in this country. If you're listening to the show, you're one of those people that's blessed. I'm not saying you're rich, but you're rich compared to a lot of people in the world, and you have abundance. And if you have a house, yes, broken. That's what I thought you meant. That's what Linda said meant. Everything's broken. So if you have a shelter over your head, and Reverend Ernie, who comes on the last segment of the show, he's told me repeatedly that where he grew up in India, about half the people don't have a roof over their head, they have no house, and they don't have any idea where their meals are coming from. About half the people. So if you have a bed to sleep in and a roof over your house, you're in the successful half. Now, here, most of us take for granted that. Oh, sure, I've got a bed and a roof, but see, what happens to us, and it happens to me too, don't get me wrong, we have that, but as soon as we have that, it's like, well, I got that, but I need more. It's always I need more. That's just the way that's the human nature. I would tell you that's the story of humanity. It's called, I've heard it called, this in many different traditions, it's called the disease of not enough. When you have a lot, it's never enough. No matter what you've got, it's never enough. And you got a beautiful woman or nice man in a relationship with you, that's not enough. It's not enough for you somehow or another. Or you have a job, but it's not enough. I'm not getting paid enough. And somehow we're always looking for something more. And we have to be loving of ourselves, because that's part of who we are as people, I think. It's just kind of wired into our nature. Got $10 billion? That's not enough. Got to have more. And so it's just human nature. So we have to be loving of all of that. But what I say to you is that if you and I can find love in our hearts and souls, if we can open our hearts to the infinite love of God's grace tonight, right now, let it pour into your heart, body, and soul. That love can take your life and turn it into magic. There's a guy, Leroy, saying, yes, that's true. It's never enough. I hear that all the time. We have to be loving and compassionate with people. That's the way the world is. I mean, you can attain a dream, and as soon as you, I think Napoleon once said it this way. He says, at the summit of great power, the first thing you ask is, how can I get more power? And that was Napoleon who said that. Something along those lines. At the summit of your power, the next question always is, I need more power. And so it's part of our what Christianity calls the carnal nature. You've got a beautiful wife or a nice husband. Well, maybe you need a few husbands or a few wives. Most people are probably not thinking that here, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's like somehow it's not enough. And again, we see that with celebrities all the time. And and the only reason why I bring them up is they become teachers to us because they're in the public arena. But they'll have what seems to be the perfect life, but somehow it doesn't work out that way, and they're not happy, and they may be struggling, and they could be suffering from depression and various different things. So the bottom, my friends, that I want to say to you, oops, I keep getting all these notifications on my computer screen. What I want to invite you tonight, is to open your heart to infinite love. Ask God to fill your heart with love and joy and peace, and ask God to grant you wisdom of how to live on this earth, so that you can begin to find the joy and bring that joy into your heart. And wherever you are, large ways and small ways, you can create miracles. Large and small ways. You can create miracles. Just like me showing up unexpectedly at a farmer's market. My daughter's 20 feet away in a little store. I get to go in and spend some time with her, and even get to get her address. I mean, I couldn't plan that at all. It was just a magical experience. All because a thing had malfunctioned on my computer, and then I had to go down to Apple. And I'm so grateful it did. But see, that's what can happen all the time in our lives. And that's what I want you to be open to, is that love can pour over your life, and you can become an emissary of love and divine light. You could become an emissary, an instrumentality of divine love. And literally you become a light. Was it Paul who said, probably wasn't Paul, I'm probably mistaking this, but it's in the Gospels that says, do not hide your light under a bushel. It's let your divine light shine. People want to be out of their bubble. When I walk in, again, I use Costco as an example, when I talk to the people at the entrance or the exit, they almost always appreciate being acknowledged. How's it going today? Are things okay? And just ask them. And they're not just machines in there. They were doing a job. And almost always people start to open up. And it's everywhere in your life, not just there. Wherever you go all the time, there's a chance to share love with other human beings. But I have to teach this to my kids, but if you put a wall around yourself and don't say anything and become afraid, you're not going to find that love. So I come back to a simple concept with you right now. In you, there's a love. Each one of you that's listening, there's a love. If you open your heart, how do you do it? You just do it. The same way I'm opening this hand. Do I have to figure out how I'm opening the hand? No, I just do it by thinking it. How do you open your heart? Same way. Think it. Open your heart. Send love to people you meet. When I walk into a store, no matter what I'm feeling, I will often say, I'm sending unconditional love to all the people in here. I don't say it out loud. I don't walk in. They'd probably think I'm a little crazy if I start saying that. But I say it inside of my heart and soul. I say, I am sending you unconditional love right now to every person in here. And wherever I go, I do that. And so what I want to say to each of you, I'll say to you right now, I'm sending you unconditional love to your heart, your mind, and your soul right now. That love might fill your heart, might fill your soul. You know, I'm going to be 71 very shortly, very soon, within a week or so. And you want to know something? If I don't share the love in my heart because I'm shy or afraid or something, well, how is that going to work out for my life? Get to the end of my life and say, well, God, I know I had a lot of love, but I was too afraid to share it. Well, I don't want to do that. And I would encourage each of you the same way. Let your love out. Let your soul awaken. Let yourself become an instrument of God's love. Take the burden of reality off of your soul and let God carry those burdens, and you become an instrumentality of infinite light, infinite love, and infinite joy. Dare to let that infinite grace lift you up. The same kind of infinite grace that could get me to the right spot at the right time to go to a store with my daughter. And that's what we need to understand, is that we're only going to find freedom in that relationship to the infinite, the eternal, the everlasting presence of God. That's the only thing that'll free any of us. And our time on this earth is precious because we don't know how long it's going to last. None of us do. None of us do. You don't know, I don't know. So don't wait till tomorrow to start sharing your love, right? Don't wait till tomorrow to be who you really are. Don't wait till tomorrow to let magic enter your life. Don't wait till tomorrow to let the infinite power of God come over you like a mantle. Don't wait. Don't wait. There's no reason to wait. Walk the path of love. I don't know any other way to really find happiness in this world. The world has lots of twists and turns for every person alive. But if you bring this love into your heart and soul, and you start sharing it with everybody you meet, you're going to have a happy life. The vast majority of the time. You'll make your relationships happier. People will enjoy being around you, and you'll just find life to be better and happier. So that's my invitation to each one of you. That each one of you just dare to unlock the potential of who you are right now. The infinite love in your soul. Unlock it. Put the key in, turn the key, open your heart. Let that love out. And when you do that, you'll discover you're connected to an infinite source of love. The more love you share, the more you get. The more love you share, the more you get. The more love you share, the more you get. And there's large and small ways to do it, but just keep sharing. This is Robert Sidell. It's the Gateway Show, 6 to 7 p.m. on the #1 talk station in Las Vegas. I'll be back in just a moment. Still staying with you on Facebook, and when I come back, I'll have Janet and Ernie with us to share their wisdom for the day. So, my friends, I just want you to know, when I sit here, I'm experiencing the luxury, it's a true luxury, of divine grace. And you know why? Because your divine love is blessing my life. Your divine souls are blessing my soul. See, if we only knew, if we could really see the truth of it, we're connected to an infinite power of divine love. We're surrounded by infinite love. We're surrounded by infinite love. We're surrounded by infinite joy. So are you, wherever you are, my friends. Facebook, later on. I'm trying to think of the best analogy I could give you. It's so easy to be surrounded by things but not see them. You know, it's like there could be gold all over the ground, but you don't see it. If it doesn't come in the form or the way you would expect it to be. Same with diamonds. Sometimes diamonds are buried in rocks, or they don't even look like diamonds. I want you to imagine you're surrounded by diamonds of joy, of love, of grace. We're in this magical puzzle called life, just waiting for you to discover that you are an embodiment of infinite love. In your own soul, there's a potential you never imagined. Just like a computer that you discovered a new way to use it. A new way to use your iPhone. See, I got an iPhone here, right? You discovered a new way to use it. And this new way lets you do new things. Well, what if you discovered you can be an emissary of infinite love? And all you have to do is learn how to flip the switch in your heart. And as you flip it, you discover that you start to have happiness you never dreamed of. if that sounds good, I encourage you just to open your heart to it. Oops, I think we've got Ernie and Janet starting to come on here. Hold on a second here. Let's see here. Hey, there they are. Ernie and Janet. They're coming on. That's great. We'll be back on the air in just a second, you two. So my friends that are out there, we'll have Reverend Janet and Reverend Ernie, who are emissaries of love also, wherever they go. So whoever's listening right now to this show, I'm going to say this. You are hereby ordained as an emissary of love, wherever you go. You are a healer. You are grace-filled. You are a bestower of love and grace wherever you go. Doesn't that sound like a good idea? Can you imagine walking along knowing that about yourself, that you are a bestower of grace? Well, it's true. It's absolutely true. Absolutely true. God's infinite love is waiting to heal you, transform you, and uplift you right now. Heal you, uplift you, and transform you right now. Oh, hey, Tim. Nice to see you. Hey, Marie. Nice to see you, too. Thank you, Tim, for sending those blessings. I appreciate it. Well, we're going to come back on the radio right now. Almost back on. Here we go. Good evening, this is Robert Sidell. It's a great pleasure to be with you here on this Sunday evening on the Gateway Show, which is available on Facebook. Simulcasting on Facebook is also available on YouTube. Go to YouTube and you can subscribe to my channel. It says Gateway Robert Sidell podcast. I apologize because it's there. We've got about 7 or 8 shows uploaded to it now. And if you ever want to listen to any of this stuff, it's just an easy way, or if you want to share it with your friends, a real easy way. I want to get this message out for a very simple reason. As I said, I'm going to be 71 within a week. And here's what I want to say to you about that. How long I need to, if whatever there's to be shared within me, I better go for it. Okay, hey, Andy says he's going to put it on his resume. I am an emissary of love. I like that. I like that idea. I hereby ordain all of you as emissaries of love, including myself. Okay, all right. Reverend Ernie, what do you have to share with us tonight?
All right, thank you, Robert. I have a prayer. The topic is how to live on the path of love, the high road to happiness. Dear Lord, thank you for this blessed day. We give gratitude and praises for gifting this wonderful life and to journey through all life experiences. Lord, grant us to be in awareness of your divinity and blend it with each of our abilities, creativities, and all the available resources to live on the path of love, the high road to happiness. Lord, help us to see how well we can be of service to others. We acknowledge to be less self-centered, less addictive to materialism or any form of addictions or attachments, and see ourselves as your instruments, vessels, facilitators, and messengers. Guide us from within to spread more of love, compassion, understanding, to fulfill each of our happiness, inner goals, dreams, and mission in this life, creating heaven on earth, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Ernie. It's always a pleasure to hear your prayers. I always appreciate them very much. I get to sit back and absorb them. All right, Reverend Janet, what precious pearls of wisdom are you going to share with us tonight?
Well, I'm just on a roll to read things out of Course in Miracles, I guess. So I looked up something that I'm going to read one of the lessons. And it is, today the peace of God envelops me, and I forget all things except his love. So this is a prayer that's in the book. So if you're able to, close your eyes. Father, I wake today with miracles, correcting my perception of all things. And so begins the day I share with you, as I will share eternity, for time has stepped aside. I do not seek the things of time, and so I will not look upon them. What I seek transcends all laws of times and things perceived in time. I would forget all things except your love. I would abide in you and know no laws except your law of love. And I would find the peace which you created for your Son, forgetting all the foolish toys I made, as I behold your glory and my own. So again, we will remember nothing but the peace and love of God. The peace is ours, and we will forget all things except God's love. Amen.
That's very beautiful. It really is. I was just sort of soaking that up too. See, that's what I want to share with everybody listening. It can be an exciting, and to me, it's the most exciting adventure of life. Is to begin to open your soul to the infinite love of God, and let God show up in the right way in your life at the right time. And that's what we got to dare to do. I mean, each of us has to dare to do that. So Janet, I love that story. Just forget everything else but God's love, really, is what it's saying, I think, is what you're saying.
It is.
And what you're saying. So each of you we're in your daily lives, I know you do a lot of weddings, Janet, and you're trying to share love there, or not, you are sharing love there, aren't you?
Well, yeah, they're sharing their love with each other, but yeah, I'm the instrument to help them share their love.
Right.
Right?
But yes, you are, but I'm absolutely certain, because I know you, that you're sharing some spiritual love with them too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I just know that about you. And Ernie is the same with you. Are you still working as a school teacher right now, Ernie?
Yes, on substitute. Yes, subs.
So it's the same thing for you, isn't it? I mean, you're sharing love with these kids.
Right. Oh, yes. Every day, hundreds and hundreds of kids, school kids, high school.
And you're
mostly in high school.
And you're 77, right? Something like that?
Yes. 77, going on to 78 in 4 months.
Oh, really? So you were born in 45 then, it sounds like.
Yes.
Well, you know what? So here you are, 77 years old, still learning, still sharing, still living love, bringing it to these students. That's pretty amazing, really. That's pretty good. Right?
Yes, I enjoy it. It's, a lot of happiness, and share the smile, and and be loving, kind-hearted, and loving, and learning too. I learned quite a bit from young people.
Well, I'm sure you do. And then Janet, you do the same thing. Oops, we're almost out of time, but so you share love in your own way. You're sharing it in all sorts of different ways in your life. And
true.
In the weddings you do, and in the wedding services you make for people, that's all love. It's all based in love, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's wonderful, and the people listening, that's the whole thing for all of us. Just remembering we can do it, and it's meant to be, and we just have to remember that. Dare to let that love. Let's make this week and today a beginning of letting ourselves be open to God's highest plan for all of our lives, for our city, our nation, our world. Las Vegas, City of Light. My friends, we're out of time. This is Robert Sidell. Look me up on YouTube, type in Gateway, the word Gateway, and Robert Sidell, and you can put in the word podcast too. One way or another, you'll find it. If you have any trouble, email me. You can always find me. So just try that. Also, try look it up. See if you can find it. I want to hear it. Sidell Podcast, Robert Sidell, Gateway Podcast. God bless you all. Have a wonderful week. Remember, miracles real, God is real, and the best is yet to come. God bless. It's Robert Sidell.
Have a great week.
Thank you, Ernie
Bye.
and Janet, and thank all of you for listening.
Bye-bye.
God bless.
Bye. Have a great week. Bye-bye.